What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the newest episode of the Believe in Oregon podcast. I'm Zachary Neel. My co-host over there is Jonathan Stewart. Jay Stu, what's up, man? How we doing?
I'm doing good. No complaints. I'm excited for an Oregon football game this week.
Yeah, we finally have a game to look forward to. Not a game to recap this time, but a game to look forward to. We're back fresh off of a bye week and we've got a really good show for you guys. We got a chance to sit down with Fox play-by-play analyst Connor Onion, who will be calling the game this weekend with Mark Helfrich. We talked to him about his view of both Oregon and UCLA going into this game and what he expects to see on Saturday night. We also get into our Flying with the Pros segment after a great week in the NFL for Pro Ducks. And then we're going to get into some duck calls and predictions for this weekend's game. Excuse me. You ready to get into it all, Jay Stu?
Yep.
All right. Let's start off the episode with our sit down with Connor.
Before we get into that, you notice anything different about me?
I was seeing that hat. That looks real nice.
Yeah,
I like that.
It's a melon hat. The color
Melon
is
hat.
on point. Today I had football practice, and it was very hot outside. And you know what happens when it's hot outside? You sweat. And guess what this hat didn't do? It didn't sweat out.
Didn't
You know
sweat
how
out.
you get those hats that just turn salty and residue
Get that
and
salt rim around it, yeah.
it's just disgusting. It doesn't happen with these hats.
I love that about these hats. I'm wearing my new melon hat as well. We're happy to have these guys back as a sponsor. These are just incredible hats. I love them. The quality is so nice. They're built to last 5 times longer than any other hat. They've got a natural antimicrobial property. So like you said, sweat doesn't break down the hat and kind of get into the fabric. No sweat stains, no smell. They're also built for the water. And they don't lose the shape if you take them in the water, and they also float if you drop them in the water. If you need to wash it, they come back to life and look brand new as well. In the summer months, I was enjoying what we have on right now, the Hydro collection that is waterproof and good for summer and boating. I'm really excited to jump into the new Thermal collection, which is built for the winter months coming up to keep us nice and warm. It's not quite there yet. It's still 90 degrees out where I'm at. I'm sure it's pretty warm where you are too, but I'm looking forward to that going forward. If you're looking for the world's most durable hat, look no further. Go to melon.com, that's MELIN.com, and put it to the test yourself. All right, we are thrilled to be joined by Connor Onion, the play-by-play analyst for Fox Sports, who will be calling this weekend's game between Oregon and UCLA alongside Mark Helfrich. Connor, thank you for taking the time today. How are you doing?
Zach, Jonathan, good to be on with you guys. I was telling somebody before doing this that this is my week of not only seeing some Oregon greats, but also some Carolina Panther greats. Good to be on with you, Jonathan, and then of course Deshaun Foster with UCLA leading the Bruins now. So honor to be on. Thanks for thinking of me, guys.
Yeah, thanks for having the time.
I want to start with this. It's a 8 p.m. Pacific time kickoff. We've talked a lot about players adjusting their body clocks and, kind of waiting all day for that and kind of getting hyped up for that night game. How is that for an analyst? And I mean, I assume it's not easy to wait all day and then kind of train your body to have peak energy levels at 8 p.m. Pacific, huh?
The advantage is that you get to watch everything going on in the rest of the country. So you kind of have a full day perspective of what's happening in college football. I will say, living in the Midwest, I live in Chicago, so I'm on Central Time, and I'm typically a night owl. But this week I've been staying up, some 1 a.m., 2 a.m., late night prep sessions, just so that my body clock is reset by the time I get out to Pasadena on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So, I know some teams will practice at the time of the late start. I'm trying to be like the teams and prep for the late start and be ready to go by 8 o'clock on Saturday.
It's funny. We talked to Dan Lanning last night after in his weekly media session, and someone asked, what do you do differently for this late start? How do you prepare for it? And he's like, man, what a great opportunity. We get all this more time to prepare and just, get ready for this game. It's like, yeah, that's the classic Dan Lanning answer for that type of question.
Yeah, I mean, there's no excuse for us too, right? We better have our info covered if we've got basically an extra day to get ready for this game, since it is so late.
That's very true. It's been a bit of a confusing start to the year for Oregon. A lot of up and down. Seen some really good, seen some pretty bad for them. What do you kind of make of the start of their season, and what do you expect to see from them against UCLA this week?
Yeah, I think some of it is some of the new guys getting acclimated. Just watching, the guy that everybody has their eyes on, Dylan Gabriel, the first couple weeks. It felt like um, kind of feeling things out the first week. I thought he was better the second week against Boise State, and then the second half of Oregon State. Watching that game, I was like, okay, this is the team I expected, and I love that they got him involved in the run game in that first half. Like seeing him run that speed option and take it to the house, awesome. Would love to see more of that. Um, I think the offensive line they're still figuring that out. They made the move at center. I know there was a little bit of concern with some erratic snapping in that Oregon State game, but defensively, I think they're going to start to get home a little bit more. That's one thing I've kind of had my eye on the first couple weeks is not a ton of sack production, but Boise State, you have Ashton Genty, who's the Heisman candidate at running back. Why would you not give him the ball almost every snap? And then Oregon State runs the ball almost as much as the service academies. So that's something I'm looking at this week is UCLA is not protecting the quarterback very well. And Oregon can finally pin their ears back against an offense so far that's been predictable as far as being pass heavy. And I think we're going to see that start to turn up a little bit here off of the bye week.
Mm-hmm. Do you see any concerns with stopping the run when it comes to UCLA? Or, I mean, I know you mentioned earlier, new pieces for Oregon, right? It's a little bit of a slow start, getting their bearings. One can argue maybe UCLA is going through that a little bit as well. Do you see any promise in their run game?
With UCLA, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. I like Jalen Berger, who flashed a little bit in the LSU game. He's a transfer from Michigan State. The numbers just haven't been there yet for UCLA running the ball. They're at about 60 yards a game rushing it, which is third worst in the country right now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's like some of the nuanced things in the run game. It's gotten a little bit better each week, but still looking for that first 100-yard rushing game as a team through 3 games. A lot to be desired there. And then Ethan Garbers, their quarterback, is running for his life, man. So yeah. they've got to get it shored up front in pass protection and running the ball.
Yeah, well, that's good to hear because I just wanted to make sure that we didn't have to go against anyone that is gonna turn on us. Basically,
no Ashton Genty's on this team.
Yeah, because our last game, Oregon, their quarterback, they had to contain him as much as possible because early on in the game, Oregon State, their quarterback was, making some strides there, and they managed in the second half to just basically shut him down and their entire running game. And I think coming out of that, that game, the only ear rise or question would be how prepared is Oregon in stopping the run and being able to do so when they need to do it. And they answered the bell in the second half. But when you're talking about, games down the road, once you start really playing these games in the Big Ten, these teams really love to run the ball. So that would be my only concern, with Oregon as of now. But it's good to hear UCLA is struggling. So if they're struggling, make sure they keep struggling.
Yeah. Not to say this isn't the one where they break out. Obviously, they have a pretty smart running mind leading the program with Deshaun Foster.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's only a matter of time before that gets going. If it's this week, I'm not saying it's going to be this week. I don't know if it will be this week, but so far, just from what I've watched on tape and looking at their numbers, it's been hard for them to move it in that way.
Speaking of Deshaun Foster, what are your what's your take on him and just the opportunity he has, being a UCLA guy, being an LA guy, and being able to have this opportunity to lead these young men, into the Big Ten at that, right? So it's a historical moment, not just for the sake of the organization, but just for football in general, right?
Yeah, I think it's great. A guy that actually lives out by you, Jonathan, Charles Arbuckle, who's a UCLA legend at tight end. He's a friend of mine, somebody I've worked with in the business a little bit, and he shot me a text yesterday and said, take care of my guy Deshaun this week. I hope eventually he's going to get my Bruins rolling again. So I know the alumni base from just talking to Buck and some others around the program are excited about what he can do. Obviously, it's first time head coach in the Big Ten in the first year. It's not the easiest situation with how late it happened too, with Chip Kelly leaving late to take the coordinator job at Ohio State. But I think there are going to be some growing pains. Obviously, we've seen that with their 1-2 start, but uh, I think just from watching his interviews and not meeting Deshaun yet, we'll get a chance to meet him this week. You can tell there's some charisma there. I can see why players, high school players, guys out of the portal would be gravitated toward the type of guy he seems to be. So, gonna take a little bit of time, but I can see the appeal on why UCLA wanted to go with him.
When you see him, ask him why they call him Smoke.
Okay, you know the answer.
I may.
Okay,
but I want the world to discover on TV.
Now, you guys, did you guys cross over for a year, or were you?
No, so I came in a year after he left.
That's what I thought. Okay.
Yeah, and so he was obviously loved in the Carolinas. One of the Panther greats. The way he ran the ball, man. I used to watch film on him. My rookie year, just kind of get acclimated to the NFL, acclimated to the culture of Panther football. And I mean, he was such a strong runner. His legs just did not stop. And, his ability to basically kind of move like a Panther. It was really interesting. Got drafted by the Panthers and kind of moved like one. Okay. But incredible guy, incredible human being. I met him for the first time, actually. During my NFL broadcasting camp down there in LA this past year, he came to visit, and it was just right around the time where he got the news that he was going to be the head coach. So it was really cool just to kind of, share a moment with him and just chop with him for a little bit. So make sure you ask him.
Okay. Why they call him Smoke?
Yeah.
All right.
Connor, I want to ask you this. This is more of a general question, a broad scope question. Connor, college football has been changing a lot over the past several years, and it used to be if you lose once, you're kind of out of it when it came to the college football playoff scenario, or you lose twice, you're absolutely done. Now with the expanded playoff, how have you had to change the way that you watch or call games now that you have, a little bit more wiggle room with these potential playoff teams? Have you noticed that in the way that you watch games or call games?
I think more teams matter, which is good for, I guess, everybody outside of the 4 teams that were going to the playoff every single year before. But I think you have more fan bases invested in the long goal of getting to the playoff. I love the setup as a group of 5 guy myself. I went to Ball State, which is in the MAC. I love that there's a spot for the group of 5 because growing up going to school in the MAC when NIU was an Orange Bowl team in the early 2010s, how cool would that have been that they would have been one of the 12 teams in? So there's more opportunity. I think it's good for us in TV. Obviously, it gives us more to talk about. More games are going to matter late in the season because even if you have like the Big 12, for example, even if you have a team that starts 1-2 or 1-3 and loses a couple of non-conference games, that league being wide open, you could have an 8-4 team end up going to Arlington and winning the Big 12 championship and still getting in, which obviously would have been impossible in the past. So it makes everything I think it's been needed for a while. It's been needed for the last 10 years. It makes everything more interesting and better, in my opinion.
I want to get you out of here on this. Obviously, your co-host Mark Helfrich is a beloved person here in Eugene and in Oregon in general. Do you have any just Mark Helfrich stories from your time working with him? I'm not sure how long you've worked alongside with him, but what kind of experience has that been for you, and how has it been getting to know him?
Yeah, this is my first season with Mark, and he's an incredible guy. That's first and foremost for somebody that's coached both as a head coach and a coordinator at Oregon and a couple national championship games. You would never know it just from walking into a room and meeting him. He's so modest that anytime I introduce him to somebody or somebody comes up and talks to him and they have no idea who he is, I'll give him a little nudge and be like, you just talked to a guy that is a pretty big deal, right? And he'll be like, oh, stop it. But very, very dry sense of humor, which I can get down with, and obviously knows the game really, really well. He's the type of guy that you don't even need stuff up on the whiteboard, and he can tell you 5 things that just happened with all 22 guys in the field, snap of a finger. So we've only worked together 4 weeks, and I feel like I knew nothing about football before I started working with Mark. So it's been, at least from my end of it, it's been a really fun partnership. I don't know what he would have to say about it, but I'm loving the month that we've been able to spend together so far.
Yeah, I'm excited that this is a road game personally because, like, if this was in Eugene, I'd be up in the press box and we'll be able to get to hear him call an Oregon game. And so I'm excited to see you guys on the call and get that experience. Jace, you got anything else for Connor before we get out of here?
No, man. It's just great talking to you. Thank you for your time. And make sure you call a good game. Don't mess up.
No pressure.
I appreciate that. As long as I get to the bottom of the smoke story, I think we'll have something to talk about, right?
Yeah.
No, I'm pretty sure you're going to have a lot to talk about since it's going to be 8 o'clock. You're going to have all the storylines ahead of you. So you're good to go there, bud.
Well, no doubt, guys. I want to say thank you to you guys. You guys are a big help in our prep, too, with how you covered the team. So thanks for having me on, and thanks for helping make our job easy.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you again. Can't wait to watch you on Saturday night.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Thank you again to Connor for sitting down with us and previewing the game. We are not going to be doing a take and bake this week because obviously the bye, unless just do you have anything that's been weighing on you that you need to get off your chest after last week?
Nothing laying on my chest this week.
Okay.
I feel pretty good about what Oregon has displayed against Oregon State, and I just feel good about that and their confidence.
I would second that. I will offer this update that we got from Dan Lanning on Monday night in his press conference. He revealed that offensive lineman Matthew Bedford got, quote-unquote, dinged up last week in practice. So they are monitoring his injury going forward. We saw it say that he practiced in a very limited fashion. He was kind of hobbling around out there. My bet is that he does not play this week.
Yeah, you hate those types of things that happen with a guy that's injured. You never want a guy, that is a pretty big piece to your team to take a step back. Obviously, he was taking some steps forward. Maybe it's just like some scar tissue. I don't know what's going on, but hopefully he's not too badly beat up.
Yeah, and Lanning said that, we'll monitor him this week. He may be able to play this week. He definitely didn't say he would play on Saturday, but again, against UCLA, I don't think there's any need for them to push it. We like what the offensive line showed us not last week, 2 weeks ago against Oregon State. So I would be rather surprised if he played. They don't really need him, quote unquote, need him until Ohio State, which is 2 weeks from now. And even then, I want to see what this offensive line group does right now. And, if it looks really good against UCLA, looks really good against Michigan State, maybe you don't even change it against Ohio State. Why fix a good thing if it's working? So that will just be something to monitor going forward.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk some pro Ducks in our Flying with the Pros segment. It was a great weekend for Ducks in the NFL. Who do you want to highlight today?
I'm going to go with Bo Nix.
Nix.
I'm going Bo Nix because he got the dub. He got the dub against Tampa Bay Buccaneers who was steamrolling for a second there. Had folks in the NFC South kind of questioning what's happening. But just obviously Buggy Irving on the other side had a brilliant game. You posted I think someone posted a video clip of him juking people out of their shoes. And, you can argue he had a really good game, but, football is all about what? Winning. And so Bo Nix had an excellent game, scoring a rushing touchdown, showing off his speed, his running ability, being very efficient through the air. This is a game that's going to, go down as a game he's going to look back as that one game that just launches him off the pad. So congrats to him, and hopefully he can keep it going.
Yeah, 25 for 36, 216 passing yards, 47 rushing yards, 1 rushing touchdown. And like you said, the most meaningful stat is that first NFL win. He really needed to find this success and kind of get that taste in his mouth. It's like when a basketball player finally gets that shot to fall, then all bets are off. He finally got one to fall. I think that we're hopefully going to see a lot of good things from him going forward. The guy I want to highlight is Kayvon Thibodeau. He had a really big game against the Browns. 3 tackles, half a sack, 2 QB hits. It feels like he's been, really steadily playing some really good football. Not a ton to say about him. I was impressed by what I saw from him. I kept hearing the announcers call his name during the game too. So excited to see what he's got going forward.
Yeah, I mean, that was a good game for them to win. I think a lot of people have been counting New York Giants out. And when you have a defensive squad that can get after the quarterback and make things kind of hairy in the backfield, that's a plus. So they had a running back that went off the rip, like Singletary, the running back. Man, you play defense and you run the ball. That's how you win football games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You got anyone else to highlight?
The offensive lineman from Detroit.
Penei
Sewell. Sewell. I'm pretty high on offensive linemen right now. I've been enjoying the PFF and just really honing in on these scores that people are giving. The grades. And whenever you have a guy that's over 80 playing offensive line, and he has a grade over 80, anything. That's amazing.
Elite.
That's an elite. That means about every play he was doing his job, but doing it at a high level. Mm-hmm. And you get 60 plus snaps in a game. That's a lot for those big boys moving around. So congrats to him. Keep it going. Detroit definitely needs to, keep their foot on the pedal there. If they want to continue to shock the world as they have been the last 2 years.
Absolutely. My last guy, we already talked to him a little bit, but Bucky Irving, man, it feels like he's started to have his coming out party a little bit in the NFL and started to take over that backfield in Tampa Bay. He had 9 carries for 70 yards, 3 catches for 14 yards, 7.8 yards per carry, which is just classic Bucky. For all Oregon fans know, that's just what he does. We've seen it a lot in Eugene. So, and then the Tampa Bay head coach came out, I believe, yesterday and said, yeah, Bucky has earned, a bigger role in this backfield. He's going to start getting more touches going forward. So it's been nice to see some of these, young Oregon Ducks in the NFL start to show out and, carve out a little future for themselves.
Yeah, love to see it. I didn't expect anything less. So
absolutely.
Go Ducks.
All right. Let's turn our heads towards UCLA once again and get into some gambling corner. Again, all of our odds are brought to you by our sponsor, Bet Online. The Ducks are 24-point favorites in this game with a money line that is too high to even talk about and an over-under of 55.5 points. What is your initial read on this?
We got to be careful here.
Okay.
I know this. They're saying we can go in here and blow guys out. But as you know, we've been doing that, and I want to tread lightly here with the 24-point.
Interesting.
24-point spread there, because LSU, they're a pretty good team,
Are they?
they're not bad. You know, like they're not Boise State. They're not Idaho. They're not even Oregon
Boise
State.
State's ranked in the top 25.
Yeah, they are because they gave us a good game. That's
That's
why.
true. That's true.
And so, you have a quarterback, Ethan Garbers, put up
Mhm.
281 yards, 2 touchdowns. Okay, connecting. This is the meaningful stat line that I'm worried about.
Okay.
He was able to connect with 9 receivers. Okay, 9. So when you are able to connect with 9 guys on the field, that means you understand the offense. Okay, and so we just need to make sure that we don't beat ourselves in this game. And I know we're talking about the money line and not my, you know, wishes for victory,
Yeah.
but the money line depends strongly on how well we cover and
Yeah.
how well we get after Ethan Garbers. So I'm not taking that 24
Really.
point. Mm-mm.
I love this. We don't tend to disagree too much on this show, but we disagree because I'm taking the 24 points and I feel pretty good about it. I'm also
Mm-hmm.
taking the under of 55 and a half
Oh,
because I don't think UCLA is very good. I think they could very well be one of the worst 2 or 3 teams in the Big Ten. They beat Hawaii to start the year, but they got blown out by Indiana and they got handled pretty easily by LSU last week. They're scoring an average of 14 points per game. So I kind of think the Ducks defense should be pretty dominant in this game. And
yeah.
I'm not calling for a shutout or anything, but
Uh,
this could be a game where UCLA scores 3, 6, 9 points. And if you're doing that, then you're asking the Ducks to score what, 35 to cover? I think they could do that pretty easily.
I'm just gonna go out there and say they had a non-existent running game against LSU. Okay,
Yeah.
14 yards rushing.
Oh God, that's so bad. I didn't see that.
So if I'm a coach, right? You know how Oregon went through the ringer about the
Mhm.
offensive line. If I'm a UCLA coach and I'm talking to my players this week, that is a point of emphasis. Okay, and I don't want you don't go to sleep at the wheel. You don't go to sleep thinking to yourself, "We're going to go in this game. They don't have a running game, and we'll just stop them." Right? As long as they go in and don't make costly mistakes and fit their gaps, this can be a dominant game. And
Mhm.
so we just have to make sure we're just on our P's and Q's. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing to make note of for sure. And I think they will be coming out of the bye week too because they've had a week to. They're not feeling all high and mighty after the Oregon State game like they might have been if they went straight into this game. They've had a chance
Hmm.
to recalibrate and reassess themselves and get better. So I think they're going to try and hit the ground running.
Yeah.
Um, let's get into our duck calls. We have, let's break down a couple of things that we want to see out of this team in week 5 and make some predictions for Saturday. Do you have any game day wishes for me?
Jordan James. I want to see him. He needs to have at least 18 carries. I would love to see Jordan
18
James
carries.
18 carries.
What does he have so far? You keep talking. Let me look this up.
He had 12 carries.
In the first game, he had 15 carries, 17 carries, and then 12 carries. You were right.
Yeah.
18 carries. All right. That'd be great.
I want to see 18 carries because we need to rev things up. We need to make sure he's, working at a high, efficiency rate. And, we need him to be a horse early and often and
Mhm.
commit to the run, man. Like, this is UCLA. Beat them up, right? Get yourselves ready to actually play games that you're going to need to go in and have a boxing match, right? So just go in there. Don't be dolling nothing up. Just go in there and hit him in the mouth.
Yep. This is basically word for word with what I wanted to say for my first wish. I want to see the offense pick up where it left off against Oregon State, and particularly in the running game. I'm not interested in a ton of points. I want a dominant showing from this offensive line, from the run game. Just, hit them in the mouth early and often, like you said, and just control the game every step of the way.
Yeah, and it's a late game too. 8:00, man. Get that game over with. Run the ball out. Possession of time. Control the game.
Let us go to sleep.
Get up
please.
out of there. It's a away game too. So when you go into an environment, because it's UCLA, and you better bet on it that there's going to be an environment where people are like thinking about, what am I going to do tonight? Oh, let's go to UCLA game. Let's go to Rose Bowl. It's nice weather, whatever, right? So there's going to be people there, and they're going to be trying to be rowdy. And the best way to calm them down is to run that ball. 6 yards a pop, 5 yards a pop. That thing gets very, very quiet, quick.
Yeah.
Trust me.
All right, what's another wish that you have?
Tez Johnson. I would love to see another special teams return.
That'd be great,
that would be brilliant. That would be brilliant. Just talking to him, we talked to him last week, and it was really awesome just to kind of hear, how he thinks and just, where he is as an athlete. He's a pro already in my mind, just how he views the game, how he views being a teammate, and just, his work ethic. And, he talked about special teams last week, and, he's a special guy. So I want to see him take something to the house.
Yeah, that was really cool. If you guys didn't hear that interview that we had with Tez Johnson, it's released on Friday. Definitely go back and listen to it. It's a very cool sit down with him. We talked to Noah Whittington today after practice too, and I asked him, I was like, Tez said that he would rather have a kickoff return touchdown or a punt return touchdown than a receiving touchdown. What do you think? And Noah was like, yeah, definitely a kickoff touchdown. It's so special. It's so different.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think fans would agree as well. It's so much fun to see a special teams touchdown. It's such a game breaker.
Because it doesn't happen often, right? It's like one of those surprise like scores. Like, this is a bonus. Sorry, defense, you got to go back out there.
Well, and it's the mark of a really good team. I mean, I think about those Bill Belichick Patriots teams back in the day. I mean, they're so dominant in special teams. And if you can get consistent, not even touchdowns, but big returns in the game, in the return game, kickoff and punt return. Yeah.
Like, it's all about really field position. If you can get, win that field position battle, you're basically giving yourselves a score without scoring on special teams by field position. You put yourself in better spots on the field to call certain plays. That gives you a better opportunity and percentage to score points.
My last wish, I want to see more Dante Moore against his old team. I just want to see Dante and get another chance to get him out on the field and see what Oregon has in their QB2. It feels like we didn't really get that opportunity in week 1 or week 2 like we thought. We got a little bit of against Oregon State, and I think we were pretty impressed by what we saw. But I think the Ducks have a chance to make up some ground here in the early Big Ten schedule and get to a position where they can get some of their backups in and get Dante Moore back on the field. And just against his former team, I want to see him get out there and sling the rock a little bit.
No, that's a good one. I would love to see that too. And if they cover this spread like you think they are, we'll be seeing them.
Give me one bold prediction for Oregon versus UCLA.
Bold prediction. Terrace Ferguson will have a touchdown in the first half.
The first half, okay. It's semi not bold, but I'll give it to you.
But
I don't think he actually has he doesn't have a touchdown this year yet, I don't think. Maybe that is a little bit bold.
First quarter. I'll be bold. First quarter.
Okay. All right.
First quarter off of play action.
Off play action. All right. Yeah, that fits the parameters. We'll take it. My bold prediction.
30-yard touchdown too. It'll be a 30-yard touchdown too.
30-yard, exactly. Okay. All right. Maybe I can bet on this. Yeah. My bold prediction: Oregon does not give up a touchdown in this game. I'm not predicting a shutout, but I don't think that the Bruins get in the end zone. I think it may be, maybe a field goal or two, but I think Oregon's defense steps up against a poor UCLA offense, and they get the job done.
The bantering that is going to take place on
with
Saturday.
With UCLA fans, all 12 of them. They're not listening.
Yeah, UCLA fans probably don't really exist anymore.
I don't think they do. That's why when you said that the Rose Bowl is going to be packed for an 8 p.m. kickoff on Saturday night, I'm like,
I'm just saying That's why I said people might not have nothing to do. They might be saying to themselves, "It's nice weather. Oregon's
but the
coming
Rose
into
Bowl is
town."
hard to get to as well. I don't know. We'll see. They may be there at the start of the game, but they may leave early.
Oh yeah, especially after Oregon starts putting up points.
Do you have a final score prediction for me?
37. I'm actually going to go 35. 18.
35-18. Oh, okay. Yeah. You think this is going to be a little bit closer game than I expect. I've got Oregon 45, UCLA 6. I think it'll be a blowout.
I
think
hope
it's
you're
going to
right.
be dominant.
I hope you're right.
I think they're going to hit the ground running, man. I don't know. I just have a feeling that they threw us off the scent in those first 2 weeks, and everyone's kind of not overreacting because, like, yeah, it happened, and like it is part of who they are, and we should take that into account. But this team is still really good. I think they're really talented, and now they're in the zone and they've got the mojo going. I think we see that this week.
Oh yeah, for sure.
All right, let's wrap it up there. We'll be back with you guys this weekend to recap Saturday's game. I'm not sure what time we'll be doing that. I'm sure it'll be on Sunday because this game likely will not end until about 2 a.m. J Stu's neck of the woods. So we're going to have to figure out our recording schedule this weekend.
Oh, yeah. It'll definitely be Sunday afternoon, maybe.
Panthers game to work around
the Panthers game to work around. So it'll be around the afternoon, early evening. Just stay tuned.
Yeah, we'll let you guys know on Twitter what time we plan to go live and do that again. I've been enjoying those Sunday shows, those post-game shows. It's been a lot of fun. So check if you have not tuned into those yet, make sure you tune in. We'll let you know when to do it and how to do it. You can check out more of my work at duckswire.usatoday.com. Follow me at Zachary C. Neel on Twitter. Follow J Stu on Twitter at Jonathan StewR1, and make sure to check out the Believe in Panthers podcast and the Stew and Crew podcast. For myself, Zach Neel, for my co-host Jonathan Stewart, we'll talk to you guys next weekend. Until then, take it easy.